age. You are in this room because you are either a student in Year 10 or you are a parent caregiver of someone who is in Year 10 and therefore is going to be in Year 11 in 2025. So just making sure that everyone is in the right place. I'm going to start with an acknowledgement of country. Trinity Lutheran College community recognises the Kumbermeri people belonging to the Yugambeh language group as the traditional custodians of the land where we work, play and learn. We express our respect to elders both past and present and extend our acknowledgement to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. They play a vital role in preserving the rich culture, memories and traditions of this land where our journey of learning and growth unfolds. Good evening and welcome to tonight, and thank you for being here. My name is Laura Robbins, and when I was in Year 11, I studied the electives of biology, economics and ancient history. I'm also blessed to be the Deputy Principal and the head of campus here at Ashmore Road. For the next hour, you are going to be here and you are going to be hearing from the team, mainly Mr. Mackay, who is our head of assessment practices and data, and Mr. Cullen, who is our head of careers. During this time, you're going to hear a lot of information, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then at 7:30, we would love for you to head to our SLP, and in our SLP, all of our heads of learning are there. Our heads of learning are like heads of department or heads of faculty, so a head of English, a head of PE, a head of science, and those staff members will be there to answer any questions that you have about the subjects that are specific to their area. So the head of science, for example, oversees all of the senior sciences, which is biology, chemistry, physics, etc., psychology. So they are there and they are those experts that will be able to answer questions for you. Before I hand it over to these gentlemen to share, there's just a couple of things that I would like to share from my perspective this evening. The first thing is that we will be standing from this spot this evening to share, and that's because this is being recorded. So my apologies that we are not roving around the place, which I think we'd feel more comfortable doing. We have to be here for that recording. We're doing that recording because we are constantly in the pursuit of trying to communicate well with our community. And tonight, I want to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is that for the next hour, there is going to be an onslaught of information coming your way. I'm kind of sorry about that because it's a lot, but at the same time, I'm not sorry about that because we're constantly trying to meet the needs of our community to be informed. And people always want us to be communicating with them. This is our attempt to do it. We have a really big, thick curriculum handbook that gets published and you have access to it, and we get to track how many times that gets opened. It doesn't get opened very much at all. We've got that for you, and we've got this evening where we share. We're really trying hard to communicate with you, and tonight we will do that as best we can over the next hour. Will be a lot of information. So what I want is for you to walk away knowing a few key things in amongst all the other stuff that you're going to hear about shortly. And these are my things from my perspective. 1, we have wonderful, fabulous, amazing staff here at Trinity. These two gentlemen and the heads of learning that you will meet in the SLP, they are outstanding educators, they are passionate about their subject areas, and they are experts at this. I don't want you to leave here tonight feeling the pressure of needing to be an expert. You're a parent, you've got your own career doing your own thing. Please know that these staff that we have here are always happy to engage with you. Next week, next month, answer questions, reach out and work with us. Our staff are amazing and they are always here to help. That's the first thing that I want you to know. The second thing I want you to know is that we are very thankful that you have chosen to come tonight and play your part in getting informed. Like I said before, if we could somehow get a magical funnel that went into your brain and all of this information just got absorbed by you, we would love it. We want you to have this information. but we can only do so much. That is our part. You need to take an active role in getting informed, particularly if this is your first child to go through senior, particularly because all of us as adults in the room will have gone through under a different system in senior. So thank you for being here and for doing your part. It's a good thing to learn something new and to be informed. The last thing I want you to know is my perspective when it comes to subject selection, because really all of this is about you feeling as informed as possible about the subjects that your child will choose. And I want to use the slogan from the cereal Just Right, the Kellogg cereal Just Right. Good evening, welcome, it's great to have you here. And the slogan for Kellogg's cereal is not too heavy, not too light, Kellogg's Just Right. And I want that to be your approach to subject selection with your young person. I don't want you to take a too light approach to this, a blasé approach where you go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, do these subjects. That would be irresponsible and ill-informed and not a good way to set your child up for year 11 and 12. So we don't want to go that way. We also don't want to go the too heavy approach. The approach where you think that your child will be for the rest of their life wearing a lanyard, like I am, that says what their senior subjects were, and that that's a key identifier of them and their person, and that they need to share that with the person that they propose to and get married to. These were my senior subjects, I hope that's okay. Sorry about ancient history, that was a mistake. Or that when they go for a job like I did last year, and got the job of being deputy principal here, that I had to sit across from Dr. Wong and say, please employ me, I'll be a great deputy principal. I studied biology, I know about cells. Come on, take a chance on me. We don't do this. And so we really want you to know that, yes, it's important, but hopefully something that comes through this evening is there are so many more pathways and opportunities that exists today that didn't exist for us. Your child can virtually get anywhere they need to and want to go. Maybe this option means it takes a little longer, or maybe this option means it costs a little more. There are so many options, and the ballpark constantly changes for us as a school based on particularly tertiary providers. So we want you to take a just right approach to subject selection, which is it's important. We want to do our best to get it right, but this is not the most significant thing that's ever going to happen in your child's life, and it's important that we keep perspective in life, particularly post-COVID. We've learnt a lot. So in that vein, I want you to know these things. When you sit with your child to make subject selections, you are sitting with the person that hopefully you know the best on this planet, your child. You know what they are interested in and what they are excited about. Choosing subjects that they will be interested in is a good thing, is a sign that they will probably put in the effort that's required, is a sign that they will probably feel success, which is really important, particularly for a young person. So choosing subjects that your child is interested in and excited about is far more important than choosing a subject that you did and you want them to do, or a subject that seems really important because it's got a complicated scientific name, or a subject that sounds really good when you're at a barbecue with other parents and you can say, my child is studying these subjects. Something that they're interested in and something that they're excited about, they will work hard and they will achieve well. Choosing subjects that they'll be challenged by is also really important, because life is challenging and we want a bit of grit. We want to be able to sit and wrestle and solve problems and it not just to come so easily to us. Life isn't like that. I wrestle with things all the time in my role, and I'm sure that you do in your workplaces. So an element of challenge is important. I also want to say this as my last point, and this is incredibly important to me. We want your child to be a well child. They are just children. We don't want your child up till 12 a.m, 1 a.m. every evening, slogging it out over assessment, and revision because they've chosen this extreme workload that's maybe a little bit out of their skill set. We don't want that. That's not healthy and that's not good. We want your child to be working hard, and there will be some nights where maybe they have to work a little harder and a little later than normal. But we want your child to be a happy child. We want them to be able to still do their sport and their cultural pursuits. We want them to still be able to go to family barbecues on the weekend, not miss out on stuff because they are home, snowed under, with all of this heavy workload that they're not enjoying. We've got to learn how to enjoy being kids. We know that as adults. The second thing is we want all young people at Trinity to feel really bright and optimistic about their future. We don't need your child to know what they want to do or be when they leave. If they do, that's great. If they know they want to be a doctor, that's great, and we can help them on a pathway of subjects that might lead them directly to that or to a really great ATAR score if they're going to work hard to get there. If that's the case and that's your child, then that's great. They will feel really bright about their future. But if your child doesn't know what they want to do once they leave school, that's actually also okay. What we want them to feel here at school is that they are getting a great education, they're developing great skills of problem solving, thinking critically, working well with other people, because all of those things, being a great learner who knows how to go home and do homework for any subject, that discipline, those sorts of things mean that when they actually do work out, hey, this is something that I want to have a go at, that they will have the skills and dispositions and mindset that will help them be successful. So they are my takeaways for you this evening, please. We have wonderful staff who will support you this whole way. Thank you for being here and doing your part. Education is not just about us as staff filling your kids' brains with stuff. They need to do their part and you need to do your part as well. Thank you for being here. And finally, let's take that really great approach to subject selection. We want your young person to be happy and interested and engaged with what they're doing. We want them to love their life now and be excited for their future because they are going to do great things in this world. Before I hand over to these gentlemen, am I responsible for going to the next slide? Oh my goodness. Okay. I just want to provide a little bit of an overview of what they will be sharing. And again, we acknowledge that it is a lot of information. Tonight, a few key things are going to be covered. The first is we're going to discuss the Queensland Certificate of Education, which is an exit qualification that we want all of our students at Trinity to get. It's really important that we understand what the QCE is. We're going to talk about our curriculum structure across years 11 and 12. So knowing what the subjects are and how they work. We're going to talk about the ATAR, which is that exit score that young people get wishing to move on to tertiary pathways, for example, university, post-high school, and how that process works. For lots of us, when we went through school, it was the OP system, which was you need to try and get the smallest number possible, a 1. This system is flipped on its head. You want to get a 99. You want to get a really high score. So explaining that is a really important thing. We'll also go through the key differences between Year 10 and Year 11 and 12. So they're the things that are going to be discussed this evening, and I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Mr. Cullen and Mr. Mackay to do that. Thank you very much for being here and being a part of this journey with us and with your young person. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Laura. And I'd just like to say those key takeaway messages, if we could summarise the whole presentation, I think Laura's sort of captured the market there. With my different hats on from my school side of things, the holistic is just such a critical component for our young people. And as a father, same sort of thing. So now we're going to sort of move from the bigger picture and start to break down the nuts and bolts of how the whole senior system works. Let's begin by talking about the Queensland Certificate of Education, or the QCE. This is Queensland's Senior Schooling Certificate. It's internationally recognised and it provides evidence of senior schooling achievements. The QCE allows students to choose from a wide range of learning options to suit their interests and their career goals. The QCE is for all students, not just those wishing to go to university. It is different from an ATAR, which is the tertiary ranking score. At Trinity, we work with students and their families to ensure the pathway taken to obtain a QCE meets both the requirements of the certificate and the needs and the interests of the students. To receive a QCE, students must accumulate 20 credits from a set pattern. They must achieve the set standard and meet the minimum literacy and numeracy requirements. It is important and a very strict requirement from the QCAA that all of these areas be carefully planned and considered as part of your preparation for senior education. To receive a QCE, students need to accrue 20 credits from a range of learning options, including subjects that come from a suite of QCAA syllabuses, certificate and diploma courses, and other recognised studies. Of the 20 credits required to receive a QCE, 12 of those credits must come from core courses. Generally, for most students, this requirement of the QCE is easily gained. In summary, students must complete all 4 units of three of their core subjects, which can be made up of the subject types listed on this slide. This is something that students need to be mindful of when considering subject changes, particularly those who may want multiple subject changes over the course of Year 11 and 12 studies. Students must make sure that they meet this requirement of the 12 credits from core subjects. The remaining 8 credits can come from other core subjects or other recognised studies, such as certificate classes, diplomas, all which are completed while enrolled at school. To accrue QCE credits, students must have satisfactorily completed or higher for each unit, or relevant competency for vocational studies. Obviously, our encouragement and expectation is that all students will apply themselves as best as possible to their learning and aim for the highest scores. This comes from a rigorous approach in class, through homework, study, and revision schedules. The college does have an academic monitoring process as part of our regular processes, where we review and monitor student achievement and allocate an academic mentor to meet with and assist students with planning their weekly and study plan schedules to assist with improved academic results. There are also literacy and numeracy requirements to receive a QCE. Most students will achieve this through successful completion of either Unit 1 or 2 or Units 3 and 4 as a pair for either a general or essential English and mathematics subject. In extenuating circumstances, the literacy or numeracy requirement can be achieved through the completion of a QCAA short course, which is a semester-long course usually completed on top of the existing selected course of study. One of the benefits for each student is that despite the requirements identified earlier, the pathway to achieving a Queensland Certificate of Education is extremely flexible. There are many pathways to completion, and this is why students and families should consider their options and their desired outcomes from a course of study. It is important for you to also understand that there is a difference between the QCE and an ATAR, which is the University Entrance Rating. Not every student will take an ATAR pathway to receive a QCE, and that's fine. Every student's pathway should be designed around their personal post-schooling goals. In Year 11 and 12, all students study 3 core subjects and 3 electives. All Year 11 and 12 students also attend a subject called Future Pathways, which runs once a week, dedicated to career education, personal development, and service learning. Additionally, every student receives 3 lessons per fortnight of study lessons to increase flexibility within the timetable. Where a study session occurs at the end of the day or at the start of the day, students can choose to be on campus for supervised study, or, with parent permission, they can study at home. This means that when they have a Period 1 study session, students may choose to commence their school day at 9:40 a.m. for pastoral care, assembly or chapel, and where they have a Period 5 study session, they may choose to finish their school day at 2:15. Students with parent permission to be off campus may also choose to take some study lessons on campus at different times throughout the year. There are, of course, conditions that come with this flexible aspect of the curriculum structure, and this will be communicated via an Operoo form sent to families in January seeking parent permission to access off-campus study. Now, I want to stress here that accessing off-campus study is completely optional and that there will always be supervised study sessions on campus for students to attend. With this kind of curriculum structure, it is our intention to help our students manage the increased demands of the senior learning phase. The previous slide referred to the types of subjects that make up the course load of 6 subjects for a Year 11 and 12 student. All students study religion and ethics, otherwise known as Christian studies, which they have already commenced as part of their Year 10 core subjects. Students must select one of the English and mathematics options listed in this slide, and then they select 3 additional subjects from our offerings. There may be the opportunity to explore other subject offerings outside of what we offer internally at the college. To discuss these opportunities, please either see me tonight after the presentation or make an appointment with me and we'll talk things through. If you are unsure of which English and mathematics option to select, our heads of learning can assist with this tonight. Of the 6 subjects students will select, there are different subject types. These include a range of general and applied subjects and vet and other options. There are many factors that go into deciding what subjects and syllabus types are best suited for students' pathways. This will form an important part of the set plan meeting with our academic mentor teacher on Wednesday or Thursday evening next week. There may even be other options beyond those offered at the college that fit in a desired senior learning pathway, and these can be explored and discussed as part of the set plan meeting. Now, we hope that you've had a chance to become familiar with the range of subjects offered in our Year 11 and 12 by accessing our curriculum handbook. A link was included in the communication that went home at the end of Term 2, and it is permanently available on the Year 10 page on My Unity. Our subject offerings have been arranged into core and elective courses and grouped by key learning areas. The handbook is designed to be used digitally, where you can access subject overviews by clicking on the links. Links at the bottom of each subject overview will return you to the subject offering page, where you can select a different course to view. Last term, students had an opportunity to engage with our certificate providers and to try some of our general and applied subject selections. We hope that these opportunities have given you an insight into what's on offer for your final 2 years of schooling. Focusing in on our general subjects, these subjects prepare students for further education or work. Each subject will contribute 4 QCE credits if the course is studied all the way through and it is completed successfully. General subjects contribute towards an ATAR. To look at how these subjects are assessed, please welcome our Head of Learning for Assessment Practices and Data, Mr. Caleb Mackay.
Thank you, Tom, and good evening. So looking at general subjects, in the main, our general subjects, sorry, I'll change that slide, will follow the pattern shown on the screen. However, there will be some exceptions. So in Units 1 and 2, students complete between 2 and 4 formative assessment items per subject. This is an opportunity for students to develop the skills and the thinking that they will need in the following 2 units, and to receive feedback from their teachers around this. So as Units 1 and 2 conclude, we report to QCAA on student progress, recording results as being either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. In Units 3 and 4, students will complete 3 internal assessment tasks, and these assessment items are written by Trinity staff and endorsed by the QCAA. The type of task for each of these pieces of assessment is different across subjects, and the timing that assignments are due and that exams are administered also vary across subjects. The weighting of each piece of assessment is different between subjects, and an internal assessment can range from anywhere from 10% to 30% of the subject's overall result. Internal assessments are marked by Trinity staff using what is called an instrument-specific marking guide that is provided by the QCAA, and it is the same for all students across the state that are completing that subject and that assessment task. Students are provided with a provisional result in numbers out of the total marks available for the task. Results are then externally validated and confirmed by the QCAA through a process that involves random sampling of student work and review by a panel of external experts. Each of the different syllabuses and learning options have a different structure and a different way of assessing student learning. You should discuss with our heads of learning tonight in the senior learning precinct any details that you would like around these processes that are subject specific. External exams, which occur over a three-week period during November of Year 12, represent either 25% or 50% of the Year 12 course. While these tasks are unseen by both students and teachers, there are many resources available from the QCAA to support teaching and learning of the units covered in the external exams and to support student readiness for these exams. So as mentioned before, in Year 11, results are reported to QCAA as satisfactory or unsatisfactory. Teachers make judgments based on the maximum of 2 assessment items per unit, as you can see on the screen there. In this example on screen for English, you can see that in Year 11, Unit 1, Tasks 1 and 2 are equally weighted to determine a satisfactory or unsatisfactory result for the unit. And they are again equally weighted in Unit 2 to determine completion of the course, of the Unit 2 course. In Year 12, the 4 assessment pieces combine to make a score out of 100, and in English, the 4 tasks are equally weighted. Here we have a different example for mathematical methods, and the tasks for Unit 1 and 4 are not equally weighted in this instance. So in Unit 1, Task 1 you can see is 40%, and Task 2 is worth 60% of the grade for that unit. And this pattern repeats for Unit 2. In Units 3 and 4, the assessment items combine to a total of 100. All mathematics subjects in the general syllabus range have a 50% external exam which assesses content from across Units 3 and 4. We'll have a look at a science example now, which is biology, and it is similar to the previous scenario where the assessment for all units is not equally weighted. So I'll put it on the screen. So biology, along with all of the science subjects in the general syllabus range, just like the mathematics subjects, have a 50% external exam to conclude Units 3 and 4 and assessing content and skills from both Units 3 and 4. So we also offer general extension subjects. We offer 2 extension subjects that students can take in Year 12. They are music extension and English and literature extension. Students who select an extension subject generally will drop one of their existing subjects to take up the extension subject. Decisions about selecting an extension subject as a part of the senior course will occur toward the end of Term 3 of Year 11. You do not need to make a decision about extension subjects at this stage. However, you're definitely welcome to ask questions about these courses tonight when you go and see the heads of learning. We'll have a look at applied subjects now. So, applied subjects consist of a combination of different types of internal assessment, which is assessment devised and set by staff at the college. Up to one applied subject may contribute towards an ATAR. In Year 12, students taking Essential English and Essential Mathematics complete 3 internal assessment items and one common internal assessment item that is set by the QCAA. So currently, both English Essential and Essential Mathematics students complete this common internal assessment item during Term 2 of Year 12. For Year 11 and 12 subject selection, all students will select Religion and Ethics Applied, which makes up our Christian Studies curriculum. This course is completed over 3 years, having already commenced during Year 10. As an applied subject, it contributes 4 credits towards a QCE upon successful completion and can contribute to the calculation of an ATAR. Of all the applied subjects that we offer at Trinity, Religion and Ethics has historically scaled the best when final results are calculated by the QCAA and QTAC. In fact, in 2023, an A in Religion and Ethics was ranked the same as a student who received a raw score of 80 out of 100 in biology, the general subject. So it's an important subject for everyone to work towards achieving their best. So we'll take a closer look now at how applied subjects are assessed compared to the general subjects. So in this Essential English example, all assessment is equally weighted. Units 3 and 4 are assessed as a pair to arrive on an overall result for the year. Essential and applied subjects are assessed on an A to E scale. Similar to the previous example, sport and recreation has equally weighted assessment. Unlike the essential syllabuses, sport and recreation does not have a task issued by QCAA, and all 4 assessments are set and assessed by Trinity staff. To outline other study options and to explain out the ATAR system, I'll just invite Mr. Cullen back to the stage.
How are we going, guys? It's pretty fun, isn't it? I'd invite you to stand up and have a stretch, but we're still filming, so we'll keep on kicking on. Okay, so vocational education and training, or VET courses, are another subject option that students may consider. VET learning options consist of a variety of different competency-based assessments which focus on practical skills and aim to prepare students for further education, work and training. Certificate courses span across core and complementary subject categories, with all certificates and diploma courses attracting QCE points. VET courses have additional fees, which have been outlined in the curriculum handbooks published last term. In many cases, but not all, students can access VETIS funding to offset the fee. Students can only access VETIS funding once, and will need to pay full fees for any VET course once that funding has been used. In 2025, the Diploma of Business, and depending on the level of interest, potentially the Diploma of Social Media and Marketing, are additional subject offerings which will run offline, completed after school with a trainer. We actually have got representatives for the Diploma of Business and Diploma of Social Media Marketing in the expo after this. A wide range of additional studies can also contribute credit points to QCE studies. A full list can be found on the QCAA website, and it's important to discuss these options with your set plan mentor during your meeting, or with me if you have any questions about those. Now, example pathways for the QCE. As you have seen, there are many options for students to consider, and I know it's a lot of information that you've been asked to take in tonight. The following scenarios are aiming to show you some of the pathways that demonstrate different ways to get that QCE qualification. In example 1, a student enrolls in 5 general subjects and 1 applied subject over the 4 semesters. All subjects selected are core subjects. This student will meet the set amount and the set standard with more than 20 credits. If they achieve a satisfactory or higher result for Units 1 and 2 and Units 3 and 4 as a pair, they've got those 2 boxes ticked. They'll also meet the set pattern of 12 credit points from core subjects. And they will have met the literacy and numeracy requirements. This student has a pathway that makes them QCE eligible. In example 2, a student enrolls in a mix of applied, general and vet subjects, all from the core subject category, and 1 complementary subject over the 4 semesters. This student will meet the set amount and the set standard if they achieve a satisfactory or higher result across their different subjects and vocational studies to a total of 20 credits. They will meet the set pattern of 12 credit points, and they will satisfy the literacy and numeracy requirements. And even though this student's pathway is different to the previous example and has only 1 general subject, this student has a pathway that makes them eligible for the QCE. When selecting subjects, we encourage students to select a pathway and subjects that suit them as a learner. The Australian Tertiary Admission Rank is a standard pathway to tertiary study for Queensland Year 12 students. It's a number ranging from 99.95, being the highest, right through down to 0 in 0.05 bands. It's awarded based on the students' results across their subjects. The ATAR is a consistent university entrance score used right throughout the country. Now, to be eligible for an ATAR, now I hope all of our students in the room know this inside out. Firstly, you need to satisfactorily complete an English subject. And secondly, complete 5 general subjects or 4 general subjects plus 1 applied or vet course at certificate level 3 or higher. Where a student has satisfactorily completed more than 5 ATAR eligible inputs, the best 5 are used to calculate the score. Now, as a reference from the Queensland Year 12 cohort from last year, 70% of students across the state obtained an ATAR using 5 general classes. 12.5% from 4 general plus a certificate or a diploma, and just over 17% from 4 general classes and an applied class. Now, circling back to our example 1 student from earlier, this student is eligible for a QCE, we've gone over that one, and they have completed 5 general subjects and 1 applied subject. They have passed English. This student is ATAR eligible, and they would have the best 5 results used to calculate their ATAR. Coming back to our second example student from earlier, this student is eligible for the QCE. However, as they only have completed 1 general syllabus subject, they are not eligible for an ATAR. Now, this doesn't mean that the student in example 2 cannot pursue a university pathway. In fact, in 2023, last year, only 50.15% of Queensland students were ATAR eligible. So you can see it's a big split, very different from the OP system. There are multiple pathways to university other than obtaining an ATAR. Several universities will recognise vet subjects as an early entry to some courses. Institutions do vary on their recognition of this pathway, and if you're interested in learning more about these options, please discuss with me in the SLP later or throughout the coming weeks. Now, to qualify for a place in any tertiary course, students must satisfy all course prerequisites. If you have a course in mind, prior to selecting your subjects, you must check the current prerequisites and ensure you meet these requirements. Where a university course refers to assumed or recommended studies, students do not need to have studied that subject, but they are strongly advised to undertake either study at school or a bridging or a preparatory course to acquire the knowledge, as they may otherwise encounter difficulty with that course. For example, a Bachelor of Engineering at Griffith, it indicates that one of physics, chemistry, or specialist maths is recommended. Not needed, but recommended. After tonight's information session, I will be available in the Senior Learning Precinct if you want to talk further about the ATAR or certificate or university pathways. I'm going to hand back to Caleb now to talk to us about the differences between Year 10 and Year 11 and 12.
Hello again. So it is important to note that there are some differences between Year 10 and Year 11 and 12. So firstly, the coursework for Year 11 and 12 subjects increases in complexity, and the expected standard of work submitted is higher. The QCAA also requires students to authenticate their submitted responses, and teachers will facilitate this process by monitoring student progress throughout conferencing and formal checkpoints. Drafts are an important step when working on assessment. Students will receive individual written feedback from teachers on drafts submitted on or before the due date. Students will need to become increasingly independent as they progress through the course, receiving less feedback, teacher feedback in Year 12 compared to Year 11. In Years 11 and 12, a consistent practice of home learning is required. Our academic policy for Year 11 and 12 recommends 2.5 hours of home learning across 5 nights per week, or a variation of this timing as best suits the student. A good home learning practice will involve more than just completing set homework. Successful students set aside time to review their notes, revise key concepts and ideas, and practice new skills. So we'll have a look at subject changes, because while we obviously encourage you to make informed decisions about the subjects that you're selecting for your senior course of learning now, we do recognise that there may be sometimes be reasons for a subject change to occur. So subject changes can occur when students however, students do need to be aware of how this can affect their pathway options. So subject changes are usually only completed at the end of Units 1 or 2, which are studied during Year 11. There are specific requirements for completing a unit from the QCAA that will impact when students can change subjects and whether they are able to receive a credit for the unit that they are leaving. The timing of units between subjects is also not always neatly aligned. So students who change subjects may have to catch up on work that is required after joining a new subject. Students cannot change subjects once they have commenced Unit 3. Students will also need to be careful to meet the set pattern of learning requirement for QCE eligibility if they are looking to change subjects. Access arrangements and reasonable adjustments, or ARA, are formalised arrangements to support students' accessibility to the courses they have selected. There are 2 types of ARA. One is to support students with known learning difficulties, and one to accommodate for illness and misadventure. For students with known learning difficulties, evidence of the adjustments currently being made, along with current and confidential medical report, are used to support an application that is submitted any time between Term 3 in Year 11 up to the end of Year 12. This kind of ARA application to QCAA will be facilitated by our Learning Enhancement Department. The process of gaining an extension on assessment items is different in Year 11 and 12. Medical certificates or other documentation is required to support any extension request. Under QCAA requirements, family vacations are not accepted as a reason for an extension to any assessment task. If a student is absent on the day of an exam, they will need supporting documentation such as a medical certificate. In Year 12, the student will complete a comparable assessment item that is written by teachers at Trinity and lodged with QCAA. Any ARA related to illness and misadventure is managed by myself. And if you have any questions regarding the QCAA's requirements regarding ARA or the requirements around completing assessment, please see our Head of Inclusive Practices, Mrs. Karen Schmidt, or myself in the SLP later tonight. And I'll now hand back to Tom to conclude our presentation.
Final stretch. Prior to selecting your subjects, you'll need to have done some thinking about your desired outcome for your senior learning pathway. This may include doing some research about specific university courses, including their prerequisites. As we heard from Laura earlier, it's important for students to consider a balance between what they are good at and what they are interested in. My best advice is to choose subjects that you enjoy, you're interested in them, and naturally it's going to be easier to do well in them. Subjects need to be selected for the right reason. Try not to choose based on what your friends are doing or what teachers you think may be teaching that class next year. It's going to be really hard to be in a class for 2 years if you do not enjoy that class. Our set plan meetings help students and families gain clarity about their selected senior learning pathway. These will occur on Wednesday and Thursday night next week, in person in the SLP. You'll have the opportunity to work with one of our senior teachers or leaders to discuss your subject selections and ensure that they meet the requirements of your desired learning pathway. Student preferences are what informs the creation of the elective lines, and it's therefore vitally important to carefully order your preferences. Elective lines are created based on the best fit for the most students. If a student cannot be placed in the class because of the line's allocation, we'll work with that student to make another selection. For safety reasons, some subjects have a maximum class size. These classes are the Hospitality Certificate, Visual Art, Film and TV, and New Media, and our trade certificates. Now, what are the next steps from tonight? It is important that students consider the subject options available to them and discuss with parents to make informed decisions. Please discuss your subject options with our heads of learning tonight. Parents are asked to make sure that they have made a booking for the set plan meetings. These will be next week from between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday evening. Bookings can be made through the Synergetic button in the top banner on My Unity. Please see me tonight if you're having difficulty making those bookings. Mentors will be allocated to a booking once the bookings have closed. Finally, please remember that subject preferences will open tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Earlier this week, you should have already received your login details from Select My Subjects, and then from tomorrow afternoon, you'll be able to log in and enter your preferences. Final selections are due next Friday at 12 p.m. Where a student has not completed their preferences after this time, they'll be called out of class to enter their preferences here at school. In this circumstance, there won't be any opportunity to discuss the selections with the family, and we therefore ask that you discuss and action subject selection as a family prior to that deadline of 12 p.m, midday, July the 26th. Thank you for joining us to discuss the important aspects of our subject selection for Year 10 students moving into 11. We know there's been a lot of important information to wrap your head around tonight. Please remember that this presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded onto the Year 10 year level page in the coming days. We're going to move now. I'll now invite you to join the heads of learning on level 2 of our senior learning precinct. Tonight we also have a range of external training providers showcasing their offerings, where you can get some more information about some certificate courses. As always, we look forward to working with your students as they continue to progress through their learning journey at Trinity Lutheran College. Thank you very much.